Hello and welcome back to Purple and Gold Zone episode number 10. Thank you guys for coming back and joining us, or if this is your first time, welcome to the show where we talk all things Lakers all the time. We've got a pretty exciting show for you guys today. Obviously, it's All-Star break, weekend wrapped up, kind of a couple of days off, a little bit of a chance to recoup before the second little stint of the season, that last little bit of the season. But in the meantime, there's plenty of things to talk about. Now, today's episode, as you guys know, last time we went over a lot of trade deadline stuff and we had some fun all-star talk. But today's episode, we've got a little bit more truth to dive into. Obviously, there's some tough conversations going on, specifically where the Lakers are sitting at record-wise. And the question is, one of the biggest questions that I think a lot of people are asking, both Lakers fans and otherwise, is, are the Lakers even going to make the play-in? Well, we're going to talk about that and other things. But the first thing we're going to talk about today is we are going to talk about the Lakers season this season compared to last season, and specifically one glaring, significant thing that is similar, but also we'll talk about the things that are different. Let's get right into it. So getting right into it, I've done a lot of roasting on this show. I've done a lot of comparisons. I've done a lot of things where we've looked at players and the team as a whole, and we've just kind of been super honest about it. So through all the roasting and through all of the different lists I've done and the different shows I've done where I've graded the team, this and that, all that fun stuff, at the end of the day, the question is, compared to last season, where is this Los Angeles Lakers team at? Otherwise known as, are we better than we were last season at this time? Well, first and foremost, if you look at the win-loss column, I'm going to tell you guys right now, you're not going to be happy because we have the same exact 27-31 record that we had at last All-Star break. Now, looking at that on paper as a record, that doesn't make you too happy. As a Lakers fan, I'm not extremely happy to look at the fact that we're sitting 27-30, actually one game worse, 27-32. So we're one game worse than we were last season. So how does that make me feel as a Lakers fan? Honestly, as a Lakers fan, it makes me feel like we're in the same exact place that we were last season. Again, if you look at it as just where we're at win-loss wise, we're one game worse than we were last All-Star break. And that doesn't feel good because we just won a championship. Might I remind people, people might need to be reminded because it's felt like way longer than it actually has been. Well, we won a championship in 2020. It's only 2023. It hasn't been that long. We should not be in a spot where we are 27-31 or 27-32 at All-Star break, in a position fighting just to make the play-in. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel like it should. And I think that it's really unfortunate that the record shows the same, if not one game below last season, because we could not be any different of a team leaving All-Star break. Going into All-Star break, we are a similar unit because people forget that last season, beginning half of the season was not great by any means, but you could make an argument, and I was one of the people making an argument that, okay, look, we didn't have Anthony Davis or LeBron the whole first half of last season. There were lineup issues. There were injury problems. We didn't have the most complete roster. Everyone was like, the trade deadline, we're going to build this team up. We're going to move some pieces and be fine. Well, that did not happen. But to be honest with you, not only did the record mirror pretty closely to where we were at last season, the way the games went has mirrored it pretty much almost the same as well. I mean, I've talked about this. I have beaten this drum so many times. I mean, there's almost a hole in this drum, guys. I'm telling you right now, I have beaten this drum so many times that the Lakers have lost games in the third. And that really started last season. Now, I will be honest, as a Lakers fan, we've got to have some self-awareness here. And these problems existed even in that championship run. The only difference was we had a completely healthy LeBron and a completely healthy AD. That's the only difference. We still had these holes and these issues because this organization just has them as a whole, but it was overshadowed by the success and the health we were having. So it's nothing extremely new, but obviously the overall problems are. And this Lakers team looks the exact same record-wise. And while I will say team-wise, we've looked better, I would say from last season to this season, even within the first half of the season, even though we've lost on the record one more game, our team has looked better as a whole. Even when we had all the guys that we don't have anymore, we still looked like a better, more complete unit, but it wasn't good enough. So it's eerily similar in the sense that, you know what, I will agree in a lot of ways, this season has mirrored last season very much the same. And that is something that as a Lakers fan, and if you guys remember, I mean, probably episode 1, 2, 3, 4, probably even up until this episode, I've talked like things should be different. But at the end of the day, we didn't do what we needed to do last season when we were presented with these problems. The best difference here, the thing that makes this not the same at all, is this season, we got it done at the deadline. We did not hold on to the dead weight like a Patrick Beverley, like a Kendrick Nunn. We didn't hold on to dead weight track star players that are just running back and forth all game for us. We held on to the players that are going to help us make a push. We kept our young talent. We didn't give up all of our draft picks because let me be honest, right now, had we gotten the Kevin Durant's, that would not have happened. The Kyrie Irvings should have happened, didn't happen. Had we gotten these players, we would be giving up way more than what we did. We had a really, really solid pre-trade deadline. We picked up a lot of players and we got rid of the players that we didn't need. We definitely got rid of the excess and we gained a sharper, stronger team as a whole from start to finish. Every single position has gotten so much stronger because of the trade deadline. We didn't do that this last season. Okay, a player that was thrown around last season was John Wall. There was talk about John Wall, Russell Westbrook, little situation. We'd figure it out. We didn't end up getting John Wall. That would have been something that would have put us in a better spot right off the bat. Would that have made a difference in the sense that we would have been a playoff contender? Definitely not. You take John Wall and you switch him out for Westbrook. If John Wall is healthy and ready to go, you switch that, you swap that. Would I take that over what we had last season? Absolutely. But it probably wouldn't have made a difference because the amount of differences and changes we needed to make, you can't make before the trade deadline. No team will completely reshape like what we needed. And at the end of the day, I truly think that's why Rob and Jeannie didn't do anything last season. It's because in their eyes and realistically, there probably isn't enough we could have done. Now, this season, what this shows to me is we've got these pieces like Beasley, and we've got these pieces like Russell, who are two absolute sharpshooters that will give us the threes that we have been lacking. It's a three league. The game is being modeled after the Steph Currys. If you do not have at least one sharpshooter that is consistent on your team, and it's better to have an army. It's better to have an army as opposed to just one soldier. All right. It doesn't matter how strong that soldier is. Everyone is not everyone, but a lot of people have seen, that movie. What is it? 300, I think is what it's called. You can be the strongest soldier ever, but if there's an army that's even stronger, in the end, it's not going to matter. And that's what 3-point shooting is. It's that little piece that gives you an edge. So we don't have that edge. We didn't have that edge last season at all. We really didn't have that edge that much this season. So right away, you add shooters. And then you look at AD's position, a position that has been in flux the whole time. Okay. Losing Thomas Bryant, I'm sure that organization knew that was going to happen because they have the inside scoop. I'm sure that was common knowledge that Thomas Bryant is probably going to walk. He's not extremely happy with his minutes. That's fine. What can we do to hit that position and strengthen it so that we're not losing? Thomas Bryant, absolute solid player, super solid starter, not just a role player. I will say he is a young up and coming potential star in that position. Super big loss. But who we got back? We got Vanderbilt. We've got Bamba. We're getting these pieces back to strengthen that position and build it up. And again, remember, we have a roster spot open as well. So maybe we're going to strengthen up that big man position and add one more, like a DeMarcus Cousins type of player. So there's a lot of strengthening that has happened. And again, there's that open roster spot. So there's an unknown still in the mix. But the difference between this season and last season is it's not every single thing is an unknown. And we're not going into the rest of the season with the same squad that didn't get us to 500 before All-Star break. We're going with a completely new squad, a completely reshaped squad and revamped squad. I don't care how many games we have left. I would take this squad 100% over the squad we had before All-Star break. And again, we're going to dive into Russell Westbrook specifically tonight. But that is not even the main person that I'm talking about. If you watch this show or listen to the show, you know that I've actually been a very big advocate for Russell Westbrook because I think that he's done more good than bad. Even last season for the Lakers, he was more good than bad. But as a whole, it's better for everybody that he is not a part of the squad. And that's the same for all these players. I mean, Patrick Beverley got picked up by the Bulls. They could use them. They could use anybody right now. So everyone wins. Everybody wins in this scenario, and the Lakers are no exception. So again, it's deja vu because of that record, but we are not the same team that we were last season because we made those moves. Now, could the outcome be the same as last season? Unfortunately, yes, absolutely. The outcome could be the same where we miss the playoffs and we don't have the success that the Lakers absolutely need to get every single season because of who we are. But we are in a lot better of a spot to be successful. We have the pieces we didn't have last season. So yes, this is a case of deja vu, but in this case, I really truly don't think this is going to be the same outcome twice. Moving right along, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about Mr. LeBron James. No, I am not Undisputed or any of those other ESPN or otherwise shows that ride LeBron hard all the time and always talk about things that have to do with him. LeBron could eat cereal for breakfast and ESPN would post about 12 things about that. LeBron is definitely one of the most high-profile people on the planet, not just athletes. But we've got to discuss something that LeBron said because it directly affects the Lakers. Obviously, this last All-Star weekend, LeBron James was out. Of course, he went out and had a monster dunk that was absolutely fantastic and got people on their feet. But then we know that he unfortunately went down with an injury, which as a Lakers fan, it was just a facepalm. I can't say anything else. I can't say anything that's appropriate for YouTube. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to because the thoughts that went through my brain are definitely not YouTube appropriate. So I think that it's definitely a problem. You know, maybe they'd fly on Spotify. Maybe I could let a couple F-bombs go on Spotify, but maybe not YouTube and maybe not at all. Either way, we're not going to do that. The biggest thing I want to say is when LeBron went down with an injury, it was just another example of, well, here we go again. This has been the story of the Lakers' lives for the last few seasons, and that has been injuries, and problems remaining healthy, specifically with their two headliners. But before any of this happened, LeBron James came out and said, these next 23 games, because yes, there are only 23 games left in the season. My fingernails, I am down to below the base of fingernails. I am biting them off. I am scared. I'm those cartoons chittering and chattering the fingernails. I cannot help it. I am freaking out because we are in a situation that is literally the same as last season. Not being in the playoffs, 27 wins, 23 games left. It's really rough. It's rough. And LeBron James is coming out here to make it even more rough by saying, these are the most important games of my entire career. He is coming out on the record and saying that. Let me say why I do not like that. Of course, it is important for the leader of a team, especially a player of that caliber, to show that they are taking it serious and to proclaim, preferably by the team, probably privately, but of course with LeBron it's going to be publicly, that these games matter just as much as they do. And this goes to show that LeBron, at least outwardly to the fans and to the media, is showing that he is taking this extremely serious. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's more of a bad thing than a good thing because it's a bad thing because LeBron has gone out, especially as a Laker, and made these big claims and said these big things, and it's resulted in nothing. And at the end of the day, it's just talking. And he's great. You cannot knock his greatness. But you also cannot just go out, no matter how great you are, and talk and say you're going to do this and going to do that and going to do all these things that don't end up happening. And LeBron James, again, Cleveland, this is for you. He went and he got that championship for Cleveland. He got the championship for the Lakers. He had the Heat victory. Not quite the, not 4, not 5, not quite that much victory with them, but he had enough success with the Heat to be notable. But now LeBron is on the record saying, good thing I've got wide shoulders. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, he said that in the series that we had against the Suns in the 2021 playoffs when AD goes out and it's up to LeBron. And basically he says, all right, it's up to me. I'm going to carry. He goes out and says he's going to. He doesn't just do it like we've seen him do in the past. He says, I'm going to carry. I've got it. This is me. This is LeBron bleeping, as Skip Bayless would say, LeBron bleeping James. That's who it is. So why do you have to come out and say it? Because it's a narrative, because it's part of it, because it's not just him going out and doing it. I'm going to say this right now. I don't like to throw around the whole Jordan card, and I'm not going to because it's not fair. But if we're going to throw this around in a Lakers show, Kobe Bryant would not go out and talk and say, these are the 23 most important games of my career. He would go out and make them the most important games of his career and take them that serious. He wouldn't need a media statement. Everything for LeBron is a media circus. It's a show. And again, he said that again in that Suns thing. I've got wide shoulders. Well, look what happened. You didn't lead them to victory. I didn't expect LeBron James to carry a Lakers team against the Suns and bring them past them. You needed AD. But to go out and say that and fail, big mistake. Another thing, after LeBron James greenlit last year's disaster team, and everyone's talking as they do, because usually everyone's going to talk about a team LeBron is on anyway, but everyone's talking about the ages and the lack of shooting and all this, and he's like, just wait until the playoffs, just wait till you see what we can do, talking about the Lakers. That did not come into fruition. And now LeBron James is saying these are the most important games of his career. LeBron James makes big statements and has backed them up in the past. But I'm not a big fan of it because it puts a bigger magnifying glass on the Lakers. It puts a bigger magnifying glass and puts more pressure on us because now LeBron James is claiming these are the 23 most important games of his career. So what if we don't make the playoffs? What does that mean about, what does that show about LeBron? What does that show about the Lakers? It's such a bad look. If these 23 games go well and we make the plan and we make the playoffs, let's say some crazy universe, we end at the 6th seed and we're not even looking at the play-in anymore, then LeBron James absolutely delivered, and it wasn't just a narrative that he was trying to chase for the media spotlight. But if we get to April and we're missing the playoffs, or we get to April and we're barely in the play-in, then it's just another media circus cash in by LeBron. It's just another cash in. And now LeBron's so great that it's not just a cash in, but it is a cash in. He knows what he has to say to get the people listening and to get the people's attention. And that's fine, I get that, but you can't keep saying these things that don't come into fruition. It's making your legacy look bad. So my whole thing is, if LeBron is going to take these games as serious as the undertones he gave in that interview were about how serious they are, and he's really going to take them serious, I think that's a big, big thing. Now, again, the injury, what does that mean? Well, again, I believe it's a hand injury. I don't know a lot of news on that. I don't think it's looking like it's extremely severe. I think the hope is that he will get in right after the break clears up. There was also talk about his foot being a problem for the remainder of the season, but if it really is as important as LeBron says, I do believe he will play because LeBron is known to play in crunch time, especially in the season if needed. So I do think that we will see LeBron trying to hold true to what he's saying, at least outwardly right now, and playing those games. And I do think this squad absolutely could make a push and make the playoffs. I think that this is a squad that is very capable. So I don't want to sit here and seem like I'm just dogging LeBron James for what he's saying and dogging that take. I just think it puts a microscope on us that we don't need, because there is a reality where the Lakers don't make that push and they don't make that run, and that looks terrible on us and it looks bad on LeBron. It looks bad on everyone overall. LeBron needs to LeBron needs to kind of pull through for us and follow through with the things that he's saying and not just be all smoke, because he's not a guy that is all smoke in any means, but we've seen some of that, and we deserve better, and he deserves better too. So it's something that I'm not a big fan of, because it puts an extra level of stress and puts us under the microscope. And also, you've got to think, though, LeBron also is evaluating his future every single week. Every single game, LeBron is evaluating his future of basketball. And if the Lakers can't make it happen, if LeBron somehow goes on a big run and they're still losing games, that doesn't look great. And I don't know if we see LeBron long-term in the purple and gold. So this is a big 23 games for everybody. But when LeBron goes out and says it, out to everybody, it just makes it even more stressful. But I get it. I understand. He's telling no lies. I mean, these are 23 of the most important games as a Lakers fan that I can remember in the last few years, because we do have that squad that can make a push, but we're just right outside. So again, not a big fan of that statement, but again, it does make sense. And LeBron, let's hope you can make that 23-game push and make these historic games historic in a good way. And let's just hope this isn't just another media cash-in. So first and foremost, if you're like me, all the Russell Westbrook hate that Russ received was always a little bit harsh. Now, I could understand it a little bit last season in the sense of the nicknames he was receiving, such as Westbrook. Again, not the nicest nickname to be called. I totally understand why that was something that was not preferred, and I get why, having the kids have things yelled at them and have them say things about their dad and all this. Like, I get it. It's a lot, and it was too much. Sports fans specifically of these big franchises will take things to the 11th degree, and that's what happened. It's not an excuse. It's just a truth, and that's what happened. Now, I think it was well known that the Lakers were going to try to move Russell Westbrook, at least in the near future, whether that be now or after the season. Obviously, he was going to be a free agent. The reasoning is he doesn't really make sense long-term in Los Angeles, and that has been well shown even this season. Even when he was putting up big numbers on the bench, it wasn't translating to wins, losses, and his expertise and what he offers would be better off on a squad where he could be maybe utilized more in those moments and in moments where he is made to shine. And the Lakers just were not able to do that. They were giving him plenty of minutes. They were putting him in a role where he should be. Russ should absolutely be off the bench for any franchise he plays for at this moment. But that is not the case, and that is not ever what Westbrook wanted to do. It's just Ham finally got through to him and convinced him, i.e. probably just told him, hey man, you're not going to have a spot on this team if you do not convert and go to being a bench player. Russ did it, looked good for the stats, looked decent, looked better for the team. He was always a bright spot, still not super efficient, still not good from three, but looked a lot better than last season. But when we moved him, what we got back right away, it was like, okay, it's worth it. Right off the bat, what we got back for Russ was worth it. There was no question on that. But the question surrounded where will he go? There was a talk on a potential Houston return. There was talk on a potential OKC return. There was talk on a potential Miami run. There were a couple of talks. But something that surfaced very early on was the Los Angeles Clippers, for the sole purpose that the Los Angeles Clippers were looking to start Russ. Apparently, no one else in Los Angeles who are Clippers fans or otherwise Clippers fans outside of Los Angeles who watched Lakers games and posted memes. Obviously, they gained amnesia because they forgot just how poorly having Russell Westbrook start for a Los Angeles team worked out for us. But now that was the report that they were looking to start him / give him a potential situation that he would be interested in, even if it was just short term. And he ended up taking it. Why wouldn't you? Why would you want to pack up and leave, stay in LA, go to the other side, see what happens, see if it's better? The Clippers are doing obviously better than the Lakers standing-wise by far. He is joining a team that is currently fourth in the West. They are 33-28 and are currently finished with a 2-game win streak going into All-Star break. They're looking great. They're getting healthy. Obviously, John Wall is a player that they ended up getting rid of and cutting. I thought that was going to be a big high point for them, but obviously that was not the case. So they've had a problem. They've needed a guard, and Russ is who they seem to be going with and who they seem to be thinking will start. That is one of the biggest factors in him signing. Obviously, also Paul George and playing with Kawhi. It probably also is a factor in something that, that star power, playing with more stars. I got it. It makes sense. All of that makes sense. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm not knocking the Clippers for it. I'm not knocking Westbrook. What I do have to say is this. Russell Westbrook should not start for any organization that is trying to win a championship. The Clippers, the Flippers more like it, are definitely trying to win a championship. They have been in the Lakers' shadow for far too long. Finally, they're going to get their own arena so they don't have to live in the basement. They don't have to be the little unemployed brother that lives in the basement and comes up once a week to get pizza and works nights as a security guard at the mall. It's not him. It's not your little brother that loves a big pepperoni pizza and works at the mall. That's not what this is. But pretty darn close. It's the NBA version of that because the Clippers have nothing to show for them existing other than some banners showing the team. There's no banners showing championships. There are, of course, retired jerseys, but players that no one cares about. So the Clippers / better known as the Flippers are not any team that has a lot of traction in my eyes. They're not a team that has really done that much, but they are absolutely going for their first championship. They always are, to at least get somewhat slightly on the right track to be on the same page as the Lakers, which will never happen. As long as there's basketball, the Clippers will not be NBA champions. I will say it now until the end of times. You just made it more the case. You just proved my point more, Clippers. Because Russell Westbrook, like I said, should not be the starter for a contender. Can Russell Westbrook go to a team such as Houston? Or even back to OKC? You know what I mean? Or even the Bulls, for where they are at the moment. Teams such as these, the Pistons, even back to the Wizards, where he already had a stint. Teams like these work so well because they're not contenders. They are teams where he can run the ball. He can control the ball. Whatever mistakes / accomplishments Russell Westbrook has will be fine. They will work because you're not competing for anything. So he has huge turnover numbers. Even if he has big scoring numbers or big rebound numbers, when he matches them up with turnovers that change the overall trajectory of a game, it doesn't matter when you're not a contender. You're not contending for anything. The thing you're contending for is draft picks or just a spot in the play-in. He can compete and start for teams like that because they're not going for any set goal. But a team that is going for a championship, Russell Westbrook needs to be a bench piece, but he could be an absolutely explosive bench piece. If you put Westbrook off the bench, even in LA for the Clippers, you have an absolute monster leading your second unit. But starting him, it did not work with the Lakers. It barely worked with the Wizards. It only worked because that curtain of not being a contender was pulled over. And even though Westbrook, yes, was having big nights, his problems were not magically different, magically non-existent. It was just, you didn't see them because he wasn't playing for a contender. He wasn't playing in the big lights on the big stage for the big team. And the Clippers are that. You're literally not swapping over. It's the same thing. You're in the same place. Now you're starting. And I think the Clippers really think that it could be something that could work. Maybe I'll eat my words. Maybe he'll go out and the system will work great. But I do not see that happening. I don't think I will stand by it. Russell Westbrook is not a player that I truly look at as a player that should be starting for a contender. Again, a team like the Pistons or the Bulls even. Okay, even a team like the Jazz. I'm kind of surprised the Jazz didn't look into maybe keeping him because those are teams where you're not contending. You're just going out there and playing basketball and trying to get wins and seeing where you're at the end of the season. Maybe you squeak in and make the playoffs. Those are teams that Westbrook starting makes sense. Contending teams, doesn't make sense to have him as a piece of your unit. Absolutely, yes. But the second unit, he needs to be utilized because that is where he will be successful
on a contending team. The Clippers by no means took their names out of contention by getting him on the team. Even if he is a bigger problem than he is a successful addition, I still think the Clippers could win even with that. But I think they're not adding a bigger piece. They're not adding a piece that's as big as I think they are adding. Russ is great. Didn't work in Los Angeles the first time. Don't think it'll work the second time, especially if he's starting. Maybe they figure that out and end up bumping him to the bench. But I'm pretty sure the whole reason that he is staying there is because they have told him, hey, we're the LA team that's going to start you, and you're going to be a star and win a chip with us. We're the right way. We're gonna make it happen. That's the reason he's staying. So I doubt we're gonna see him move to the bench. The ship is gonna go down with the captain, which he is definitely not gonna be the captain. But again, Russ has to be the captain. So matching him up with Kawhi, another thing. That starting unit is gonna have a lot of problems with who's shooting, who's doing what, and that is just not going to work long term. Now, what does this mean for the Battle of LA? This just means poetic justice. Russ staying in the same place. D'Angelo Russell coming back. We've got Russell's running point still, but it's different / the same from what we are used to. It's going to be cool. I think it's going to deepen the rivalry the next time they play, which is coming up. It is within the next month. I think that will be a game that will be a showing, sign of which team really is the better LA team. Now both teams kind of have a new look, and they're starting to improve what they've got, and I think that we're going to see who the better Los Angeles team is now. If LeBron is healthy, if Anthony Davis is healthy, if everybody's all in, if all the chips are on the table, we are going to get the best battle of LA, even if the Lakers, by some chance, don't make it to the playoffs, which, oh my lord, that'll be rough. So let's say they don't make it to the playoffs or even the play-in. Does not matter. However far the Clippers go does not matter. The Battle of LA, the regular season, the first time they match up, if everyone's healthy, it'll be the best one we have seen since the Lakers won a championship. It'll be the best one we've seen since that year. So I think we're going to see one of the best Battle of LAs, but the biggest factor will obviously be health, and that goes for both teams. But it'll make it for a deeper story because Westbrook going to another LA team obviously does make for good Lakers rivalry basketball. But either way, again, like I said, I don't think it's a big move for the Clippers in a good way. I don't think it's a big move for them in a negative way that will derail them. I just don't think it's an addition that makes sense. And on the flip side, the Lakers made choices and had additions that all made sense. So, Lakers W, Flippers L. As always, that's never going to change.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Purple and Gold Zone. Thank you guys so much. But before we go, I want to plug a couple of my other projects. Another show I have that you can find is the Connor and Heffernan Show. Me and my buddy Mark. Every couple of weeks, we drop an episode. We're not super consistent, not super set with a schedule quite yet, but we at least do 2 episodes a month. You can find that on YouTube at the Connor and Heffernan Show or on Spotify. We have a complete sports viewing opportunity where we talk MLB, NHL, NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA. We talk a little bit of everything. So check that out. Every single episode shows every single segment and everything we talk about. So you can watch the whole show or just pick one you like. Find that on Spotify or YouTube. And then my other NBA show is called Well Beyond the Arc. It is on the Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. The Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. Go give it a sub. So much great content. Sports shows, hip hop shows, interviews, documentaries, so much great stuff. If you love The Sopranos like me, there's some mob documentaries, on there. Check that out. And specifically check out Well Beyond the Arc. That is an NBA show that I do every couple of weeks. Same, it's not super set, more set than the Connor and Heffernan Show, but not super set. Every couple of weeks, Well Beyond the Arc, an hour show. We go live. Usually we go 6 to 7 or 6:30 to 7 every single Tuesday or Wednesday. And then my co-host Manoli has a bunch of awesome blogs you can find. He has a blog called the Sports Page blog. So much great stuff. He just did one on All-Star break. Check it out. Check all that out and make sure to hit the bell and to sub and to be up to date for the next Purple and Gold Zone. It is coming right up. All-Star break will be wrapped up before you know it, and we will be back here talking more Lakers basketball. But until then, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and go Lakers. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.